Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedict, and I'm feeling productive, sort of.
And I'm Benedicte. Today is April 29th. This is episode number 221, and I'm feeling unfocused.
How are you doing? It's been a while since we last talked.
It's been a while. It's been a month that I was looking at things. I'm like, I haven't done anything. But I have. But also I felt like super, I guess it was last time, or had this period of time where I was just like crunching it out. And I know I have these cycles, so right now I feel like, oh, I don't do anything, and like I'm so unproductive. But hopefully we'll turn again, because we leave the country, or we don't leave the country because we have to sail a little bit in the country before getting out of the country. But we are leaving for the sailing trip in like a month and a half. We're going to be gone for 11 weeks, and that kind of just hit me. That is very soon.
That is very soon.
That is very soon. And I got all the, personal stuff with the house. We have to get the contractors in that are gonna build us some bedrooms that are gonna be done by the time we come back. I need to finish some projects, some client projects. There's just suddenly a lot of loose ends, and it just got me feeling, just have to start with one of the ends and just wrap it up in a bow and be done with it and move on to the next one. But I was just in that kind of oh, good. Yeah. That kind of state.
Yeah. Well, at least now you have a deadline, or well, I guess you had a deadline for longer, but now it's in your mind, and you can as annoying as deadlines are, they are kind of helpful to get shit done, right?
Absolutely. But then May is also ridiculous in Norway because there's basically no working days. We have the marching band is marching on our Constitution Day, so I'm gonna have to spend time on that. Lillian is doing a circus performance the weekend before we leave, and we have to help with that because it's a parent-driven thing. So it's also just realizing that in addition to there not being that many weeks, there's not that much time in those weeks. So I just have to try to kind of stay the course and do what I'm supposed to, and I don't have the leeway of procrastinating. I don't have time to procrastinate, which, as you say, it could be good because then you're just doing it. So I'm hoping to kind of get that drive. Right now, it's more I just want to lay on the couch and watch rom-coms for 10 hours and not do any of it. But I know it's going to come around. I trust it. Trust
the process, or
trust the process. Or trust that things I've been around this thing. I've been here before. But you're productive.
Yeah, at least it kind of feels that way. I mean, yeah, now that I think of it, I'm not sure that much got done, but at least I mentioned that we do quarterly planning now, and it helps with that feeling of being productive, at least. And I guess it also helps with being productive, because now it's very clear what goals we have to hit for the end of the quarter. And I'm not sure that we got into this in the last episode at the beginning of the month, but we did a quarterly planning for Q2, and one of the big things we're going to do this quarter is doing a redesign of the UI, and if we can fit it in, also a redesign of the website. But the UI redesign is first, because we're also going to redo all the screenshots then on the website. So it felt like we do this part first and then do the website after. But this is the first redesign we did on the product since it's launched. So it has been running like this for the last 6 years or so. And it's also the first big redesign project I'm tackling ever. So I'm both excited and scared at the same time, because the product at this point is already pretty big. We have a lot of screens, a lot of components, and we're going to change every single corner, I guess. But I also don't want to stretch this out into like weeks and weeks and weeks, or even months, or dare to say years. So we want to make this a super focused effort, and yeah, just trying to be very careful about not getting lost in some details. And yeah, we're kicking off this project this week. We did a lot of like wrapping up small things, small changes for the last 4 weeks. But now we're kicking off that project, and hopefully we get it done by the end of the quarter. So we have like eight weeks or so. I hope it will take less than that, but who knows, right? The devil's in the details with that stuff. And yeah, that's what.
Is your product
That's
already like nicely
componentized. Um,
componentized?
componentized. I'd say yes. Yes, but
Yeah.
like we have a ton of components, and especially like the like generic UI components, we have a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So that should make it relatively easy to get like the 80% of the redesign done relatively quickly. At least that's what I hope, because that's basically the plan we set out to do. Like step one, redesign all the components by themselves, like all the new buttons, all the new input fields and stuff like that. And only when that is done, start changing the layouts and the actual the way those components are like composed together. Because I feel like if we try
The
to
molecules.
yeah, like yeah, exactly, assemble the atoms into molecules, I guess. So we're doing that as step two, and yeah, then in that process, we're probably also going to change some screens and some like logic in the UI and where stuff is and things like that. But I want to make sure that we make this in phases and not like try to do everything at once, because I'm a little bit scared that if we do everything at once and then one of those restructuring projects gets like stuck or like turns out to be more complicated, the entire thing is going to be delayed and like stretched out. So trying to, yeah, as I said, like getting 80% done as quickly as possible, and then maybe be fine with the like a couple of screens not looking as nice as they look in Figma, but at least being usable and at least being shippable. And then like we can merge all of that and maybe even roll it out and continue improving on it. Because yeah, we've been thinking about like doing this in smaller batches, but I don't know, like the design is, I don't want to say fundamentally different, because that's a little bit, I mean, it's still a SaaS application. It looks like every other SaaS application. But
So why are you doing a redesign?
I think at this point, it looks a little bit dated. We're getting feedback that it looks dated. It's also everything's super big in our UI. Like when we started out, we didn't have a lot of stuff going on, not a lot of features, not a lot of buttons, not a lot of stuff. So there was a lot of like big headlines, spacious form fields, a lot of padding and stuff like that. And now, like, we obviously have way more stuff in the app, and also our customers' data. Like, some of them send a lot of stuff, and if you want to like just view it all, right now, like it takes huge amount of space. So one of the things we're doing is like just reducing font size, reducing paddings and spacing, and overall giving it a little bit of a modern look and feel, and maybe making it more look like an app rather than a website, because I feel like some parts of the UI still look like this is a website. Yeah, sure, it's a website, it's on the web, but like it could use a little bit more of an app-like feel. So that's what we're trying to do in this project.
This reminds me, we just had, I just saw in our support tickets today in Outseta, somebody was like, well, we have a lot of plans, we have a lot of discounts, we have a lot of like, we need folders. And I feel like that's one of those, like you're 8 years in. I mean, Outseta's 8 years in, your first customers are not going to have 100 discounts that, they're going to have 2 and then maybe 5. But like now some of the customers, the customers are getting bigger because we're more trusted. and people have been using the software for maybe 8 years, and like we know how this counts. Can
Yep.
grow out of, so it was like, folders, could we have folders?
Yeah.
So that was like his answer to the issue, but I think it also like just points to a larger issue with our lists, not kind of like our list being very naive, because
Yep.
we haven't kind of tackled those amounts of data that
For
people
sure.
have.
That's also something that keeps popping up more and more these days. We recently added just a few weeks ago, we added a search feature to the segment dropdown. So whenever you select a segment for a filter or something like that, someone was like, I have like 400 segments. Like, scrolling through that list, trying to find the one I'm looking for is getting annoying. So we added search to that, and then recently did the same thing to the index page where you list all the segments, added search there. We're getting requests from people that they want to be able to do full text search on their broadcast because they remember they sent something months ago, but digging through hundreds and hundreds of broadcasts is kind of annoying as well. So yeah, that's stuff
And
that's
then they're
happening
going
as
to be
well.
asking for AI to summarize all the broadcast within a segment to get a feel for what has been
Maybe, yeah, like
been the
that hasn't
tone of
happened yet,
voice, and
but I can see that happening as well.
it's
Yeah.
coming.
Yep. Anyways, like, yeah, it's going to be a big project. In the end, it's still not going to be perfect. I think like we don't have a concept of folders in there yet, but I guess that's something we should be looking into as well at some point. But overall, everyone on the team is excited. I know it's probably more subjective than objective that it feels like it needs a refresh, because I mean, we've been looking at it for like every single day for the past, as I said, like 7 years or so. So we're definitely over it, but yeah, there's always that argument that in the end, customers don't care as long as it solves their problem, and I kind of agree. But I also notice in myself, especially with like commodity products, and ESPs are like email service, like email marketing tools are commodity products. If I have the choice between 2 or 3, I go for the one that looks nicer. So it's not like it's not a buying decision. So yeah, we have some hopes that it will improve the perceived value of the product, and also, as I said, like fix some of the UI issues we think we have right now. Not only we think, that we know we have right now. So overall, exciting project, a little bit big and unwieldy, and I'm a little bit worried about it dragging out too long. But I guess being careful about that and trying to actively avoid that is probably the only way to deal with it.
I think it's smart to think about like kind of doing the colors and the font and the and kind of that part, like all of the components, and then making sure the layouts look okay, and none of the restructuring. But it's so hard, but like, because then at least you're somewhere, and then you can start the restructuring. But as you said, if you
Exactly. Yeah.
start the restructuring, you get stuck, and then suddenly everything just kind of diverges, and you will never get those nicer buttons in there because you're stuck on a restructuring something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
that
restructuring all the way to the end of the project, and then there's also a lot of stuff they want to refactor in the code, and that I think that's going to be the hardest part to not do.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, have to be super careful about that as well. I hope we can get some of it in, but same reasoning. Like if we try to be too smart about it early on, I think we're just going to mess it up and not ship it ever. So yeah, components first, layouts next, restructuring, refactoring. Those are the steps, I guess.
And you got a quarter to do it.
Not even. Just 8 weeks.
8 weeks. A spike. It's now what you can say you're having a design spike.
Design, yeah, like the designer spiked already. Like Jane has been going crazy in Figma. So we definitely have a North Star vision of where we want to get to, but let's see how far we get in those 8 weeks.
It's also weird. I've been starting using images more with AI. It's like one of those weird things that I never thought about until somebody who can code showed me. I was like, show me how you use Claude. And he just kept on dropping images in there. He was like dropping in images of database structures. He was dropping in images of the design he wanted. And it was like, I was like, wow, because then you don't have to like go and find the database schema. He just like took a photo of whatever was in Supabase, I guess, and just like dropped it in there. But for the design part, like I've done it for some things. I guess it depends a little bit on technology, but if you kind of have a photo and you drop it in and you say like, get this component to look like this, or like get this section to look like this image, it's like 80% there, and then you have to clean it up. But I've been pretty like surprised at how well it does a lot of that stuff. And then it depends on like how particular you want to be about how it's solved, as with all of AI.
Right.
But it could be, for a lot of things, it could be a good first pass because you have something that looks like the Figma, and then you could kind of go in at the end and like clean it up. In that refactoring phase or in. But I was just doing it right before this call. I was like, I need this section from this page in here, and dropped in the photo, and like boom, I had the full section with the copy and everything. And then I just like removed some class names, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, what also has me a little bit hopeful is that like design tools and Figma in particular have come a long way in the last couple of years.
They have
like
dev
I
mode.
remember, with dev mode, like you basically can copy the CSS right out of there. At least sort of like yesterday we were looking at 2 buttons that looked exactly the same but had totally different CSS, and we couldn't figure out why. Like in Figma. But like even like with is it called auto layouting or something like that in Figma?
Which is like Flexbox.
Yeah, exactly. Which basically is like Flexbox. And with like Jane now using that stuff in Figma, and we're using Flexbox in code, it's like it finally nicely works together, whereas previously like Figma, like the design tools were just a blank canvas and you're pushing pixels around and it didn't have any structure. And then whenever you try to make up a structure, you'd always slightly get it wrong. And then the next design has like 40 pixel instead of 30 pixel spacing. And you're like, but my design system doesn't work anymore. But like, yeah, with those
I remember actually sitting with a ruler. Like, trying to figure out like what is the spacing in this compared to the thing that I was seeing on the screen, because it just didn't make sense. So I was like with a ruler on my screen, like, is this the same size or is it not the same size?
Yeah, exactly. So like stuff like that. We did that for sure. And now, like as I said, like with like both of these systems kind of working similar, and Jane also using that in a similar way with like having components and reusing components and then reorganizing them in those like groups with gaps and stuff like that. I feel like we will not spend as much time in figuring out what belongs to which component and what's reusable and what isn't reusable, and why does this one look slightly different than this one over there. So I have hopes that ultimately that this will be a better thing in the end. So yeah,
and I also think it's like teaching designers coding, because I could see with James, our designer at Outseta, he started out in Figma, then he started doing Webflow sites for people, and then Webflow is kind of has a lot of the same kind of tools as Figma, but you're basically using Flexbox, but you're like you're just setting it with like different words and stuff. And then when he started seeing the kind of the bridge between what he was setting in Figma and then Webflow, and like having to customize some things in Webflow with CSS, like suddenly the jump to CSS was very short. And then he started learning CSS. So, he's been working a lot under the hood in Outseta's admin, just like cleaning up a lot of the inconsistencies that the developers have kind of, legacy kind of, what's it called, kind of happen, with every new thing added, there's like little discrepancies or anything. And he's been going in and with AI and like his knowledge from Figma and Webflow, like he's getting a lot of stuff done. And I think one of the things is that you could sit in Figma or Webflow and you can like tweak things with your design tool, and then you can look at the CSS and you start learning the mental model between what is the CSS properties that go with this tool, and then they can kind of translate between how they've been used to doing things and with CSS. So it's kind of it's a gliding. Like, are they designing? Are they coding? Where's the
where like the lines blur, I guess, right?
Yeah, the lines blur a lot because when you're using Figma properly, like that, you're very close to coding, like mentally. With that, you're thinking in components, you're thinking in systems, you're kind of doing like all of the things that a front end developer would do. So the front end developer doesn't have much job left, actually. Just like copy pasting out all the components.
You mean we're done with the redesign in a week, you mean?
No. But it's more of the boring part left, right? Because all of the kind of thinking in components and like the system and the design strategy and all of that is kind of done. You just have to figure out, and we haven't bridged that yet, where you could just say Figma. They're getting closer, especially there are some like React, you can export from Figma to React components, I think. But like with all the different technologies we're using, it's not just like click a button and you have all the components you need.
Yeah, it's not quite that easy yet, but things are improving for sure. So let's see how it goes. Like, as I said, will be the first time I'm doing something like this. I did a redesign of my previous product, but I literally rebuilt it from scratch. But that's not an option in this case. So what else has been happening? Oh yeah, most important stuff. Summer officially started. I decided earlier today. First time wearing shorts this year. It's warm enough to go with shorts and shirt.
We went to the summer cabin this Easter, since we're not going this summer, and we had to do some maintenance work and just like spending some time at the cabin, because cabins are expensive, so you got to use them. Otherwise, why are you paying for them? And we had like summer and winter in the same week. It was insane. Like one of the days we were sitting outside at the pier, and it was summer wet. Like I felt like it was. Yeah, I was like, oh, summer has officially started. And then 3 days later, I was wearing my large wool skirt and like a winter jacket. And we couldn't keep the heat up in the little wooden structure. And it was just like crazy. So not like a full-on Norwegian winter, but pretty close. And it was raining and everything got wet. But it was interesting. And you feel very close to the elements when you're living on an island. And you have to take the boat to kind of get back and forth. It's like, if it's raining, you got to just, put on whatever clothes you can find and get out there. So it was really, I think we're going to be using the cabin a lot more in the preseason and post-season. Just get that value out of the place.
Right.
No more vacations to anywhere else. We're just going to go to the cabin every weekend. No, just kidding. From next year, obviously, since we're going sailing all of the summer.
Right.
But other than that, Outseta is having its absolute best month. We've just been like growing every month, and then this month I think it's like a little like one of those like sharp returns in the graph. So that's a lot of fun, and also like less technical support. So that feels great. I don't know if at least it feels on our weekly call yesterday, like all of us that are doing technical support were like, oh, wasn't there less support like lately? So maybe some of the, the documentation that I've created, and even if it's just been like, I feel like I haven't done like a ton, but I think we're answering more of the harder questions. And maybe also AI is helping, even though every time we get anything from somebody using AI, it's really bad, but maybe those are the ones that are getting the wrong, like maybe there are people out there getting really good answers, so they're not asking us questions, and then we're only seeing it, we're only seeing the tickets when the AI is hallucinating badly. So it maybe we're not seeing the full picture. We're also seeing, and I don't know if you're seeing this, but we're seeing a lot of signups coming from ChatGTP as the referrer. So we're going into an experiment with paid search. So Jeff's heading up that experience with some external consultants, and they wanted us to have like proper tracking. We haven't had, we have analytics software in place, but we haven't like really looked closely at it. So we wanted to see it in the Outseta dashboard and in Outseta, our CRM. I mean, Outseta uses Outseta. So Outseta CRM has the option to add custom property to accounts and people. So I created a script that is now living on our marketing website that tracks the first touch refer. So whenever you land on the page the first time, we collect the refer and also the UTM values, because was what was needed by the paid search folks. But it's been fun because the paid search hasn't really started, but now we have like 3 weeks or 2 weeks of data on all of our converted accounts and what their refer was. And we're seeing ChatGTP just show up a lot more. And we have one of those like founder emails going out where Jeff is like, hey, how did you hear about us? Like as the first email. And a lot of people are like, well, it was ChatGPT. I searched for this. I searched for that. So we're going to be digging into that a little bit more. And then also it's going to be interesting to see how the paid search is going to play out.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing that a little bit, like seeing some traffic from AI tools, but it's not a huge percentage. And actually, we're not actually tracking how, like, if that traffic converts into signups.
That's what we've been missing as well, because we've been seeing the traffic to the site, but we haven't been tracking that all the way through to sign up. And for us, it's also interesting to see, and for you, I guess would be interesting to see, is like, okay, they go into like which one of these actually convert after trial, and like how long are they a customer? Because if you figure out that everyone coming for ChatGPT just like sticks around for like 2 weeks or whatever, like then it's you don't want to put any more effort into that type of channel. But we're thinking like the hypothesis is a little bit that Outseta has been around for a long time, and we solve that cross section of needs. So that the answers that Jeff has gotten, if I understood it correctly, is like they have been solving for like business tooling or like broader, if you Google, you search for like email or billing, you're very like specific in what you need. But when you're chatting with ChatGPT, it's more like, oh, I'm starting a business. Like, what do I need? What are the softwares I need? Or, how can I solve this? And Outseta, solves a lot of them, which is, it's just our kind of advantage, but also our disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
But it looks like in ChatGPT that is an advantage. That it's like started to see that we can cover more of the tooling for a business. So interesting. Just like little, it's just what's it called? Hunches now. Like it's too early to say exactly what is happening, but we're seeing that. So I'll keep you updated, and also on how the paid search is going. Yeah. And then on my side at Outseta, I had this idea that I would create like a proper app. So I have something to like, if I'm going to write React demo, there's an like actual app that has more than just the simplest way of using Outseta. So I decided on Feedback Fort, which is going to be like a little like feedback road mapping / tool where people can submit feature requests or feedback, and then others can vote on it. Only if you're logged in through Outseta, obviously, you can vote on it. And it's just taken so much more time than I thought. One of those, it's just like, it feels like the simplest app, and I keep like getting stuck on things, and I just feel old. And I'm like, like people are making these incredible things with AI, and I can't even make this like tiny little app. So I've been feeling like, I don't know. Part of me might feeling like blah, but finally I have it done in React with Supabase. And just like one of the things that took me like hours, with Superbase is that they have row level security, right? Which means you can just call it straight from the client with the authenticated user. And I managed to get that authenticated user as an Outseta user. And then I was setting very like strict row level security rules on different things, because that's one of the things I want to showcase with these demos, because I've come over a lot of demos where you just use the service key and like there's no security, and with vibe coding, right? So this is like an important part. And I added some pretty stringent select row level security rules or policies. And it turns out for some reason in the Superbase client or SDK, the select is used when you're updating. And this might always be the case. I don't know. Like I need to dig into this. But so when I was trying to update something, I wasn't allowed to update because it said, row level security is stopping this update. And I like removed all the policies. Like I was, I was just, and it just kept on. And, and these are one of those things where the AI is like, yeah, I'll help you. And then it just doesn't help you at all. And it just went going around in circle. And finally I tried just turning off all of them, obviously. And then it worked, and turned it back on, and it didn't work. And it turns out it was the select row level security policy that was blocking my update. And I don't know why. Like, is that intentional? Is it like and this is the thing, like I don't know Postgres really well. So like that just didn't occur to me.
Right. I think it might be for there's a technique to lock the row for update. So you first, like when you want to make sure that you get exclusive access to the row update, you can do a select. You do basically a select whatever for update, like literally right in there for update. That gives you the lock until the end of the transaction. And then in the next call, you do update, and then you do commit, and that actually does the update in one go. And that makes sure that no one else is accessing the row at the same time. I think that might be what's happening, because you can do it without.
Illogical.
Yeah, maybe. I guess you could probably do it without, but eventually you want to have the locks. Like,
oh yeah, and I can understand. Like, I definitely, when you say it like that, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But when when you write the policies, it's like select policies, update policies, delete policies. You're not like, oh, so the select policies are also there when you do update. So I'm gonna just have a little bit look to see if it's the way the SDK does it, because maybe the SDK then locks and like you say, and maybe their REST APIs do not, or like I'm gonna have a look at it and like write a blog post so that I learn and somebody else can learn from my hours of trying to read in the docs and chatting to AI, and like finally just like removing this line to see if that helps. And like, oh yeah, that did help. So anyway, I was very annoyed with myself. But the app is almost done, and then it's React and Superbase. And then my plan is to do it with Webflow and Vist, which is like a way to code in Webflow with Superbase. And then like do React and Airtable, and then, just like do different combos now that I have, because I feel like a lot of the time is also just getting the model right, obviously, especially in Superbase, since I was having these issues, but also just getting the design, because I do get hung up on the design a little bit. And if I'm going to like, think about a new demo every time and like thinking about those things, then it's just going to take too long. So hopefully, yes, it took time, but hopefully it's going to like accelerate the next technology stacks. And then I'm also kind of realizing I'm getting too old to learn new tech stacks. Like it's,
yeah,
I don't know. It's like, oh, make a demo in this, this tool, and then you're like, okay, yeah, and it's easy until it's hard, and and then you're like, okay, I don't know this. I don't know anybody who does this. Got to get to know people who, at least I know. I have a contact to this like Vist expert, so. Hopefully when I do that one, I can like reach out when I get stuck. So,
yeah.
But that was super annoying and made me feel very unaccomplished developer. Made me feel very stupid, I guess is the thing that made me feel. But it's done. And then on Galleon, We kind of like launched a version of our Galleon attributes, but didn't really tell anyone. But it's kind of like at least the first version is done. And then I was like scrolling because I've been, as we said, scattered and don't focus. I was scrolling on the interwebs, and I came and this little tweet from Jason, a smart bear. He's the founder of VP Engine, where he was saying like, don't code the thing, talk to people first. And I was like, oh yeah,
there
yep,
was that thing, right? Yeah.
I've heard that before. So
Mm-hmm.
the blog post is called "The Code is Your Enemy," and it's literally just like talk to 10, 15 people before you start coding. So I was like, yes, I know. And I've done this,
So
and I
true.
have done this for products before, talk to people, but like this time I just wanted, because I've talked to kind of Outseta customers that I know need this, but we need to just talk to a lot more people. So Ola and I just had a walk and talk today where we came up with a plan where he's going to recruit people from the Webflow forum and Reddit Webflow forums, people who have done project that has Webflow and Supabase or Webflow and Airtable, and kind of talk about what they've done, what they've made with the tools that
Mm-hmm.
exist today, and just learn more about the space, and use Michelle Hansen's deploy empathies, superb interview templates, and like do it right.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. I think earlier this year we had the idea of like doing more like product analytics built into Userlist for our customers' products. Um, and we were like, okay, we need to talk to our customers about this, or like about potential customers, and we haven't buried the idea entirely, but like our existing customers were all like, I don't care about this. So it maybe wasn't that high of a priority, or shouldn't have been. Well, we did the interviews first before we built anything, but the hypothesis still is that maybe for new customers it would be interesting, but we still need to talk to more of those to get a good idea. But yeah, like sometimes doing the interviewing and the talking can save you a lot of time and effort and code and all of that. So
And
good
also
idea.
the thing, like vocabulary,
Yeah.
because as we talk, like this is a pretty simple tool from like a developer perspective, where we're authenticating and authorizing a user and giving them the data they need. But
Yep.
what are the folks that are like either more junior developers or designer turned developers, like how do they talk about it? Like what are they looking
Yes.
for? Like are they looking for user data? Are they looking for personalized data? Are they just looking
Yeah.
for, I don't know, would they say content, or just getting all of those, that kind of vocabulary down, and also see if they have struggles, and if they, because I think one thing that might be an issue here is like the educational, they might they might not be aware, right? Which is a really bad
Right.
place to
Yeah.
be with a product,
Mm-hmm.
where they might not be aware that they are exposing user data in their projects in a way that they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Um, but then maybe some of them are, and like what questions do they ask, and that, like how do they talk about it? So it's definitely something that's needed. Still want to code it though. But I will be coding it for the next demo, Outseta demo, because getting data from Airtable and into a React application, I need some sort of serverless function. So I
Mm.
will, in a way, be
Be
allowed to
coding it.
code like a MVP, or like code out if this is like, how hard does it do, like what things do I need to think about, and doing that in parallel without it being like a misuse of time, because that's one of the examples we need to have um,
Yeah.
as part of our kind of like our outside of demos. So yeah, but it hit me hard, and then somebody underlined next in the tweet. Uh, some guy says, "Whenever I reread this article, this line hits me the hardest. You just keep coding your way to failure."
Yep, there's something to that for sure.
So let's talk
Cool.
to people.
Yeah, let's stop recording podcasts and go out and talk to people. Is there anything else you want to touch on this week?
If you got this far, you gotta head to our YouTube channel and watch Lillian's first published YouTube video.
Oh, okay. I will have to check that out. It will be in the show notes.
It will be in the show notes, and she's already hired as the videographer for or explainer video creator for Galleon.
Nice. That might be a unique take on explainer videos. Are they still around? There used to be a phase, like, I don't know, 15 years ago, when everyone had those stupid explainer videos with like the cutout paper thingies moving around. Those are not
And
around anymore, are they?
No, but we'll bring them back, like kid style.
Yeah, but that I think that's a unique angle that no one else has ever done before.
And I think for some of the Galleon stuff that might, like, if it turns out that this is a good idea and like people have like a slight idea that they have this issue, we'll need to educate them more on the issue. Thus, we'll need some sort of explainer videos, and why not make them a little whimsical and fun?
For sure. Looking forward to that, and I will check out.
And remember
Lillian's
to
video.
like. She's asking me,
of course,
like, how many
yes.
likes do I have on my video?
Views and likes and subscriptions, and the next thing she will be asking for, like, donations.
She will. She wants her own YouTube video. No, her own YouTube channel. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not happening.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Cool.
Says, but then they're not my use.
Already learning about platform risk.
Already. Okay. Well, let's hope we can do this in 2 weeks this time.
Yep, let's. Yeah, definitely the plan. Last time Easter came in the way, I guess, but yeah, shouldn't happen this time. Awesome. Well then, have a nice couple of weeks, and see you soon.